being recorded.
Oh, this meeting is being recorded. Good morning. I didn't get a chance to say good morning before Errol's Eye On could start. Errol, my name is Alan Wasney, and you really got me flustered with that little recording behind you.
My bad.
Let's restart. Okay, so this episode 11 of Errol's Eye On, I do have Errol Vas. And Errol, you've joined in the studio, as always, in China. We just established you're 14 hours ahead of me, right?
14 hours ahead. Yep, out here in China.
Good evening to you. Good morning to me. So, Errol, what do we have in store for? My two listeners really want to know what you have in store for us for the 11th episode.
Yes, Alan. Last week you thought it would be a good idea for us to talk about SEO, and it's funny that we've been talking about marketing the last 11 episodes and we haven't touched on that.
Never
so I thought
touched
that's
on
a really
this.
good idea. Yeah, SEO.
It's insane. So, do you know the origin? Because if you Google it, you get some kind of mixed things. But what's the origin, and what does SEO stand for? Let's start with that.
Yes, SEO, for anyone who doesn't know, is search engine optimization. And basically, that means optimizing your website for maximum visibility on Google and other search engines.
You know, it's incredible. But so, okay, obviously Google and Sergey Brin and I forgot the other founder. But do you know the founders of Google? Let's go.
I don't.
Sergey Brin. Let's start Larry Page and Sergey Brin. But literally, they kind of optimized SEO. But I think it had its origins even a little earlier. But so why is it important today, and why, I mean, for me, it's just like, yeah, it's great, but it's like seems like more of a gimmick. But why is it important from a marketing perspective, Errol?
Yeah, I can see why SEO is maybe perceived as a bit gimmicky because of all the tomfoolery that has occurred in the SEO space, all the little tricks and stuff as it's developed into in itself. So what was the question again, Alan?
It wasn't really a question, but why is it important? Why is it important for your clients?
So why is it important? Yes.
Errol, you're a marketing guy. Why is SEO important?
Yeah. So, Alan, if you are not on the first page of Google, if your website isn't on the first page of Google, it's really difficult for people to find you. So the whole reason why SEO is important is because you want people to find you and your company and its products and services.
But people game that. Either they pay for that. That's real estate. That's I call it beachfront property. To get the first in the Google ranking, that's beachfront property. That's prime dollars these days, Errol.
Unfortunately, yes, these days it's become very competitive, and you need to either pay with money or pay with time and effort to establish your SEO nowadays for certain things. Some websites, some companies, some niches are easier than others. But yes, SEO is very competitive and it can get costly.
Okay, so I mean, I seem to get, and I don't know if you do, but in here in Canada, we get a lot, almost at least once a week. I get someone, I can help you with your SEO. I can help you with your website design. It's like that, the whole tech stack, the whole suite of tools. But SEO is usually the first one up top. And I mean, so it seems like it's more of a commodity now to me I'm not a tech person. It seems to be more of a commodity now. Meaning it's just everyone can do it.
Well, I think the reason why you hear so much about it and why you get outreach so much is because SEO is one of those terms that a lot of people, they know the term SEO, but they don't really understand it. So a lot of maybe not really technically inclined people or people who aren't really on much about websites, whatnot, they know that they need SEO because they know it's important, but they don't really understand what it is. And so they're willing to, we need this. They're willing to pay for it. And I think that's what a lot of agencies, maybe a lot of freelancers kind of caught on. So there was a lot of SEO services being offered, but now it's extremely saturated, right? So, I mean, everyone has had someone, if you've had a website, then it's almost guaranteed you've had someone reach out to offer you SEO services, right?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, even if you do, like I built a website with Wix and it didn't take long at all. And there's some real technical, you can see, it says, do you want to embed some SEO? And it's like, it really is technical from that point. I'm like, whatever, right? You just put in keywords. But if you take is there technology that you know of or aware of that can help you with that third-party technology?
Yeah, well, first it depends what type of SEO. There's 12, maybe even more, 12 different types of SEO, but the core ones that you should
Wow.
probably know is on-site SEO. So that's any search engine optimization to do with any of the web pages on your site. That
Okay.
includes content, copy, images. There's on-page SEO. Next, you have off-page SEO, which is essentially things like getting backlinks, getting mentions from other websites, etc. Uh, and that's also your visibility on Google,
Yeah.
right? Your visibility on the search results. And then there's technical SEO, which is essentially making it so your website is easily crawled and indexed by search engines. So those are the three types. And are there softwares that help? Yes, there definitely are. Um, Alan, I've given you three. Which one spiked your interest?
Well, obviously the last one, the crawled. So I was going to ask you, easily crawled. So let's break that down a little bit, because it seems to me it's almost trolling. It's allowing to troll or easily crawl. Let's break that last one, the technical SEO.
Okay, yeah. So technical SEO, it isn't my strong point, but I can explain, it's just because it is technical, but I'll explain what it is basically. So Google or any other search engine, they need to go through your web pages. They essentially crawl through your website and they take all the information off of it, right? They
All
go
right.
page by page, sentence by sentence. But some websites are harder and difficult to crawl so that Google isn't really able to read or gauge the website as good, right? So
Yeah.
if you make it very easy for Google to crawl your website, then Google is easier, more able to represent your website on its search engine, right? So that's what crawling is. And when your website is visible on Google, that term is called being indexed. So the easier your website is for Google to crawl, the better your website will index on Google.
That's incredible. It's incredible stuff. But so I guess there must be courses on the stuff. I mean, literally, there must be. I say Udacity or Udemy or whoever. Coursera. They must have courses on this stuff for marketers to understand what you just.
100%, 100%, 100%. And when you're getting into marketing, you need to figure out what interests you and kind of double down on that. And for some people, the technical SEO was really appealing and they doubled down and really learned it. So there is a lot to learn. There's a lot of code, a lot that sort of thing. So yeah, and there is softwares that can help. I'm not really, I guess softwares that I would use, the one that I do use, it's called Screaming Frog and it's free. Screaming Frog, yeah. So you
Okay.
can check that one out. And that is I guess you could consider that a technical SEO tool and an on-page SEO tool as well.
Okay. So both technical and on page. Okay. So that's good.
Yeah,
And on page. So, but you said at the outset, you said there are 12, but you're only familiar with three.
not I'm only familiar. It's just these are the main core ones, right?
Okay.
Yeah, these are the main core ones. There's 12 different types or so, but they all are kind of variations of these core three.
Okay. So, I mean, literally, I don't have any other specific questions, but when I think of could you give an example what a good CEO, a good CEO is one who doesn't micromanage. A good SEO, what would be a good SEO, a good CEO, good SEO?
SEO. Yeah. So you know what? SEO has been really overcomplicated. You can get in on it, you can overcomplicate it to the max. But at the end of the day, SEO is all about searcher intent, right?
Yeah.
So it's
Oh, yeah.
all about the user, it's all about the intent. Now, let me put it like this. SEO basically is you want your website more visible on Google so more
Yeah.
people come to your website, right? But that can quickly turn into a vanity metric. Sure, you might be able to, oh, last month we had 5,000 visitors. This month we have 10,000. And then after that, we have 15,000. But that could be a vanity metric if you're not really looking at what action is that traffic taking, right?
Yeah.
So you can do all sorts of tricks to get people to come to your website. You can write copy that's packed. Well, not nowadays, you can't just pack it full of keywords, but you can write content that's just good for the Google algorithm to bring people to your site. But
Yeah.
even if you bring them to your site, if it's poor quality or it's not a good experience, it doesn't match the intent of the user, then it's pointless, right?
Well, that's
So
that stickability, right? Like what keeps them on your website? What
exactly.
what pulls them back? Something pulled them there, but if you can't hold them with some kind of ropes and things, right? They're gone.
Exactly, right? So if you write if the searcher intent is, I want to find an article about the best way to cook a steak, right? The best way to cook a steak. If you're somehow able to bring me to your website for that, but your article sucks, I'm gonna bounce. I'm gonna leave really fast, right?
Yeah.
So sure, now you you got one more visitor to your website, but I didn't take an action. I didn't stay long, right? So it's SEO is really about searcher intent. And when it comes to on-page SEO, all it is creating content that matches searcher intent for your niche, right? So that's the
I love that though.
biggest.
The intent. So they're really putting yourself, hopefully, the UI or UX. You're putting yourself in the user's experience. Like that's what they're going to experience when they come to your website. What's their intent? I love that. So
Exactly, right?
on that note, because literally, so this each website, because you're talking Google, but the search algorithms in LinkedIn differ somewhat because it would search within LinkedIn, right? So do
Hmm.
they may have different ways you call it
Yeah.
troll. You said trolling. No, you said crawling. So to crawl
Oh,
through
yeah.
that index, right? But it's literally there's that gamut of the search engine. I read something once where I can't remember the health organization down in somewhere in the U.S. and Google wanted to create their own dedicated search algorithm so that when people came to their website, they could find the medical whatever it was the things they were looking for within that. And then there was obviously some backlash. Whoa, medical records, confidentiality, and so forth. So, yeah, I mean, the searcher intent it's different if it's medical, if it's a steak, or if it's education, or
Yeah, definitely. Google has really been working hard on its algorithm, and Google's goal is to offer its users the best possible experience,
yeah,
right? So its algorithm does differ from things like LinkedIn, Facebook, etc. Well, I guess not Facebook, but like LinkedIn, maybe Amazon. This is what a big thing that Google does is it wants to make sure that people aren't creating content or just doing spammy SEO to trick people to come to
yeah,
websites, because
yeah,
that makes a Google user's experience less, right? So going back on that last thing I said about it's all about matching user intent, searcher
yeah,
intent. Google watches to see how long people spend on your website. So if you have a piece of content that, let's say, it's not very good, but for some reason it's able to rank on Google and bring in these searchers. If Google sees that a bunch of people are coming to this piece of content, coming to your website, going, and then leaving right away, Google watches that. And if it sees that people, it's called bouncing. If it sees that people are bouncing off your website a lot, it starts de-ranking you. It pulls you
yeah.
down in the search engines, right? So these algorithms are all about offering the best user experience.
That leads me to hashtags. So hashtag people say they don't work, and I write 3 years
Mm.
ago I arrived back to Canada September 2018. So 3 years literally talked about. I'm like, oh, hashtags, it's a good thing. Oh no, they don't work. And somebody was a social media guy that said, I learned all this in all you can learn about social media. And it was my very first podcast, my very first episode, and the guy's like, yeah, no, I studied all this, and I said the hashtags, whether they work or not, they certainly drive traffic, but I don't know. Do you have a view on hashtags and SEO? Is it linked?
Yeah, in SEO, hashtags are referred to as meta tags.
Oh,
Meta tags. And uh, there was more emphasis placed on them back in the day, a long time ago,
yeah,
but now they don't really play that big of a role. And it kind of worked the same as like social media. You filled in your meta tags,
yeah,
and then you could possibly rank, right? But that caused the problem of maybe your website isn't really aligned to those tags. So Google, and so that if that's the case, you bring people to your website that aren't trying to find it, causing a bad user experience, right? So Google now doesn't place that much emphasis on meta tags per se.
but if they misspell. So there's back to intent. If someone's intended, if it says Errol Vas marketing, but it was marketing with an the I was missing. And they know they'll spell it TNG, right? It says marketing or whatever. That misspell, people, they can target him for that as well. Just Google's, I mean, that was a problem a few years back with a misspell. It was misdirection, right? It would send you to a website that was illicit or whatever. Is that still a
Hmm.
problem, or they figured that out?
Oh, they've really figured that out. They've really figured out. When I when I type, because especially when I search things on Google, I know I only have to have like a 30% accuracy with my spellings on anything, or
Yeah.
so I'll just kind of mash the keys fast,
Yeah,
and it
yeah.
can just like. But Google always knows what I'm talking about,
The
so they're really
predictive, yeah,
good
the
at knowing.
predictive.
Yeah, yeah, it's very predictive, right? So you don't really have to worry about that too much on Google. In terms of SEO, I can give you kind of something that I find works really well for me, and it has worked well for me. And maybe this will give any of your listeners, any of our listeners, a really good uh, actual tips for their SEO. Um, so I'll start off with a story back in, well, not back in, like 2 years ago. I was really trying to rank back in the day. I was really trying to rank one of my websites, and
Yeah.
I was releasing content every, I think it was every couple days. I was releasing a new blog post. I had a team of, I think it was 8 or 9 people writing. Yeah, about 9 people writing. Everyone was writing, posting every 2 days. And because when it comes to on-page SEO, there's always this debate about how often you need to post, and the
Right.
more you post, frequency is part of it, right? So at this point I was like, well, I'm going to post very frequently, and if I'm doing this and talking about a certain piece here, I should start ranking on Google for this. So I started doing it. We started posting a lot every 2 or 3 days, post, but nothing was really sticking. I wasn't getting any more traffic. I wasn't really ranking for anything, right? And so this was actually just an experiment to really test this out, and it actually confirmed what I thought. After that, I took all of these single posts
Yeah.
and I combined them into one big post, one big long form content. So there was about 50 different, oh, what was it, 30, about 30 different pieces, but we combined them into one big post, and it was
Where was the
organized
post? Where was the post made?
in our blog, in our
Oh,
blog.
okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And so I organized it nicely in one big long form piece of content. I organized information nicely with headers, H1, H2 header tags, everything organized nicely. And within a little bit, boom, ranked on Google. And not only did it rank, it started outranking very powerful sites like government sites, etc. So it really started ranking. And this is the key that I found after doing this experiment really helped me with on-page SEO and getting ranked. First, focus on long-term content, long-term, long-form
Long form.
content.
Long
Okay,
form.
long
Yeah.
form, long-term. Focus on long-form content. Number two, um, focus on internal linking. So if you have one page on your site and another page that kind of complement each other, like the
Yeah.
information on this page complements this one, link over to that page, and that will create a nice kind of SEO web that tells Google, oh, there's a lot of good content on here that really makes sense, and it really pushes up your rankings. So long form content and internal linking. And
Yeah.
then the third thing that really helps is every once in a while, update your blog post. So maybe add a couple hundred words here and there, update it, keep it up to date. Google loves when you refresh content and keep it up to date. It awards that. So by doing just those three simple things, I've really been able to rank stuff and do well with SEO. Um, the other part of SEO is off page, where you're building links. So when other websites are linking to your website, it tells
Yeah.
Google that, hey, that's a quality website. Let's raise up the rankings. And in the past, there's been so many
This is why
attempts
you
to
ask. This
gain
is why you.
this.
But this is why you asked me what I like, because you like this the off page. But sorry to cut you off there, but that was literally what you wanted to go. This is the sweet spot, I think, for you.
Yeah.
These two. Okay.
Well, with the off page, you're getting other people to link to your website, but that also kind of opens up a window for people to game that, right? You can pay people to link to you. You can get a bunch of spammy links. Oh, I'll get
Yeah.
1 million spam links to link. Google's smarter than that, so they don't really award that. They do really heavily award off people linking to your website. However, I was able to really rank this particular piece of content in this experiment, rank it very well with minimal external links, with minimal links, and I did that through long form and just internal linking. So that's
So
what
this is
really worked.
interesting because I mean that's your blog on your website. Do you post it,
Hmm.
say, using Medium or Substack or anything, like a external publication source, or just straight on your website, that blog post?
This was done just straight to website on a yeah blog.
I remember reaching out. So 2003, 4, like I probably still have it in my Yahoo. And that was when blogging just was coming up, because I remember writing to some
Hmm.
website and I said, blog, I wanted to get my wife to blog about sort of life things, right? Because we lived overseas and so we were in Kazakhstan. And the person brought back,
Cool.
what are your metrics? This was 2003, 4. I don't remember, but it was really, really fresh because I probably read something about blogging and it was really fresh. So come fast forward nearly 20 years and Errol's still talking about blogs. So I don't mean it in people is
Yeah.
blogging an effective thing still, Blair,
When yeah
Errol.
when done correctly, blogging is definitely effective. Now, the
Yeah.
difference between maybe what that guy was talking about 20 years ago and now is back in the day, you could write to the algorithm. You could do certain things to trick or game the algorithm.
Yeah.
And, I can stuff a bunch of keywords in my blog. I can, stuff like that. I can put meta tags, et cetera, et cetera. So just stuffing keyword stuffing. And that worked back in the day. But now none of that stuff works. Google is really wise. So this has essentially made blogging more simple. Write for your
Yeah. The
write
content.
for the yeah, write content for the consumer. Write it for
Yeah.
the experience of whoever's looking it up. Don't think about writing it to for this or that. If you write a valuable piece of content, you know what you're talking about and it's a good length, then it's going to do well. So just focus on writing about stuff that is interesting, stuff that's valuable for your industry, and that in itself will be a good enough guide for your on-page SEO.
So I've often heard of the second. You've mentioned Google many times, and everyone's familiar with Google. Google, just Google it. We'll Google that, Arrow. But literally,
Yeah.
the second most, the largest second search engine out there is YouTube, which is owned by Google. So I listened to. So I had a podcast, I guess, cost certified. I'll just put him out there, and they were a new startup here in Calgary, and he said, and I got ranking in YouTube from a very short period of time, and he still didn't give me the hack. I don't know what the hack was. It was roughly 2 years ago. He's like, if you go to YouTube, he got a huge ranking for a startup.
Mhm.
Like he was gaming the system. I don't know how. I don't know what his trick. I'm gonna test you here. What do you think he was using on YouTube back in the day, or maybe is it it was only 2 years ago.
two
And
years
I don't
ago.
know. I'm just asking you, is there something you could think? How could you get ranked on YouTube so rapidly with just word? He was just like using, and he was probably using some kind of hashtag. Was it just metadata? Do you think he was using anything? No.
I really can't be sure. You said it was about 2 years ago. I'm not
Yeah.
sure if even buying traffic or views would even work
He had
two
no money.
years
They had
ago.
minimal money. They had minimal money, but it was something to do with project management, construction. He was using, and hashtags don't work. If YouTube Shorts, like so, YouTube Shorts are this thing now. But there's like 80 million. If you just type in hashtag Shorts and when you're doing a short on YouTube,
Hmm.
literally there's hundreds of millions now. It's
Yeah.
so the rankings. I mean, the rankings. It's. I think tricks come and go, and maybe it's not so useful because those guys are now in South Africa raising funds versus the construction industry in Calgary versus Alberta or Canada or whatever. Anyway, my point is people seem to use things and maybe they have a short shelf life because then, as you said, Google, but the mothership
Yeah.
hovers over. The mothership hovers over and zaps that whatever that whole.
Yeah, that's a good point. SEO is not a short play. It's not a let's do some tricks, let's do
Yeah.
some shenanigans. SEO is a very wholesome long-term marketing play. There's no little tricks, there's no shortcuts. It needs to be done. One thing I like that you touched upon is YouTube, right? Um, I gave you a tip for on-page SEO, long form content, internal linking, and refreshing your content
Yeah.
periodically. a good way for your off-page SEO. So let's say a good way to stay visible on Google is through YouTube. It's way easier for you to rank a YouTube video on the Google search engine than for you to get a piece of written content on there. So for example, Alan, a lot of the episodes, the podcast episodes we do, you type in my name and they're all on the first page. It's like my first page is full of videos because I really don't know why, but Google loves videos. So there's a lot of videos of me. So if you're trying to rank uh, a piece of content for how to lock down venture capital, right? Something like that. You could be writing content on it all day long. Maybe you write content on it, try really hard for 6 months. But if you start doing YouTube videos, you're going to rank much faster and get much better results. So using videos to rank on Google is a huge advantage.
So I'm going to use, you just reminded me of something because about venture capital. There's a thing called
Hmm.
docking. I don't know if you've ever heard of docking, not like as in Google Docs, but docking, DOKKING. LinkedIn. I've done thousands of posts over the last 4 years. Like I literally don't know the exact numbers, but posts or whatever I do, right? And
Mhm.
I got slapped. It's for docking. And I had to, well, they didn't say it. They said you violated one of our and your post violated, and it didn't tell me. You and I've had discussions a little bit offline on LinkedIn. And it was literally on venture capital because I docked, meaning you compiled information that's otherwise public, but because you put it into a format, a summary of something, somebody complained. I don't know the post. I can only, they took it off and it didn't get to see exactly. But I know because I was doing a lot of posts that's similar. I was packaging up otherwise public information, but in a format that is not public. So
Hmm.
look that up. It's literally, I had to Google that. And I had one podcast episode where tech actually understood that, right? We were talking a little bit tech and I said, oh, I got into that, but it's incredible. So that when you package stuff together and going back to your content or whatever, if I created that, it might be that discussion. I wonder if they'll ever catch that up. Because if I had the same discussion on the YouTube, I should do that. If I had that on YouTube, would it have the same experience, the result back? Because the two, what I mean? That was LinkedIn. So Google and
Packaging it
YouTube are
up.
different. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about something, well, here's a good example, packaging it up. Let's say you have a blog post on your website, but you include a video on it that's hosted on YouTube. I
Yeah.
mean, that's how you can get the best of both worlds. So that way you will show up faster on the Google search results page under the video section, but that video will be on your website. So that is a really good way, Alan. Yeah. And Alan, about you being reported, that was actually me who reported you those many years ago.
That was, I didn't know you at the time, Errol, but thank you for that. But no, but it's incredible. Like it's the things you do, they can have implications or don't do. And you mentioned, okay, so Errol Vas marketing, the reason we say that we're joking, but it was related to some prior posts you did. But again, some things stick with you. Like I remember a guy reached out once. It was a blockchain thing. I was living in Qatar, right? And he was in Denver or somewhere. He goes, and I said, out of curiosity, what made you reach out? He goes, well, when I typed in blockchain in search in LinkedIn, your name came up. So if I type in
Yeah.
Errol Vas marketing, what am I going to get? Let's go. Let's test this out now, Errol, because we had this. I'm going
You
to
want
go.
to test it out on Google or LinkedIn?
I'm going to go to Google right now. Errol
Okay.
Vas. Does it have to be all one?
Do whatever. Do it
Okay.
natural,
Errol
what
Vas
you would do.
marketing altogether. Errol Vas digital growth simplified. He's a full stack
You-
marketer. I boost. So this was, you came up
The
first.
website.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then Errol Vas with Chinese, some Errol Vas, and then next was followed by some Chinese, or I got it.
That's my LinkedIn, right?
Yeah. LinkedIn in China. Errol Vas
So number
Canada, marketing expert. Then there's a video over here. Oh, so yeah. Anyway, so
so
that, so
yeah,
that,
third result's a video, right? So right away, boom, a video is ranking.
yeah.
Third result. Right after my website, my LinkedIn video. So that's the power of the video. Boom.
Okay. So then the fifth one, the next one is our episode 10, the last one that's
Mm-hmm.
on YouTube. And then the
Mm-hmm.
fifth one down that's fifth, 5, 6 is the one where we talked about the branding. So that's okay. Errol
Yeah.
Vas marketing has gamed the system.
But you see those videos don't even have that many views yet, right? But yet, boom, there they are ranking right away. It's a shortcut in line. So instead of
I love
imagine if you
this.
wrote imagine if instead of us having that podcast or that YouTube video conversation, if we were writing this in a blog form, that would have never ranked, right?
Yeah.
So just by having a video, boom, that's right up there for Errol Vas marketing. So you cut the line just with the video.
I love that. Cut the line on a Google search, And because Google is, I mean, that's literally, I've known this for a few years now, because the two, when you do, you get that pre-roll, the 7 seconds on when you go to YouTube, because obviously they control that, right? So they know what you're searching for. It'll send you something on money, something on food, something on clothing, depending on your interests that you've Google searched. It's incredible. But that's just the algorithms are working. But I love this. Cut the line on a Google search.
Cut the line on a Google search using video. Video ranks much easier than any text, any blogs. So create video form content, create a video form of your content, and that's a great way to get ranking and get visible without having to spend lots
Errol,
of
this is
money on external links.
This is brilliant. It's like it's just it is brilliant in a sense, but it's also important because the video you can allow express, you can do written, video, audio. But I love that. So eventually Spotify and these others will get into that and say, so the voice, the one word, Errol, your name will come up. Alexa, who is Errol Vas, right? And that'll come up as Errol, or Alexa, find somebody who knows good at marketing, right? So the three will come together.
Well, that's the goal, right? You type in Errol Vas marketing, I come up. If you type in Errol Vas, I come up again. But if you just type in Errol, I don't think I'm, that's when you reach the fame, when you
Errol
take
Flynn.
over just the
But that's
first
Errol
name,
Flynn.
right?
I think the Errol Flynn.
Errol Flynn. Errol Flynn is the king of the Errol name. So
you want to rank above him at some point. You could get if you get that hashtag just right, Errol. I love that though. So anyway, we're gonna leave this. We're gonna cut the line. Errol just cut the umbilical cord. You no longer rely on the mothership. The LinkedIn is your mothership. LinkedIn is controlling Errol, and Errol's cut the umbilical cord, and you're going into a different tack. So, Errol, this is wonderful. Any last word? No, I'm going to give you. I cannot be the one who gets the last. Errol gets the last word.
Okay, the last word. When it comes to SEO, always write for searcher intent. Quality content, right? Quality content is what works. A good way to skip the line on Google search results is making video formats of your content. So making videos, they rank much easier. They get on Google, and you don't have to spend money on external marketing or anything like that. So those are two great takeaways for this episode.
Errol, this is wonderful. Thanks for that. Let's cut that right there. let's cut that video right now, Errol. But thanks a lot. This has really been fantastic. So thanks, Errol.
Right on. Thanks, Alan.
Have a great week, man. A weekend.
You too.
Cheers.
Talk to you later. Bye.